We are going live. Let me check that every place, every source is connected, and we can start streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, and a couple of other places like Kik, Twitch. I think we're good. I'm just going to check it. Yeah, so we're going to summarize what happened so far. We're basically with this $1,000 challenge up to 1,200 from, so a little bit down from 1,500, but it's still not that bad considering what has happened in the past week. So the last stream was actually on 10th, so 1 week ago. Today it's 17th. And again, we have pretty interesting price action. So I'm going to summarize what we have. Just going to have, so this is what we have when it comes to the equity, 1174. And I'm going to summarize the P&L, slightly negative with minus what this is from 5, it's something like basically, not entirely 400. It's, I guess, 300. Well, it's actually 401. Yeah. This should be it. Yeah. So pretty even. And we can summarize what we had in the past week so far, as you can see. So basically we lost on the ANA call. So the long on ANA brought us $360. So that was the only directional call, the only directional position. Other from that, if you remember, we had this long Solana, short Ethereum, and I'm tempted to do exactly the same thing right now, because if you look at the chart of ETH to Solana, then actually it's at all-time high, meaning ETH is going slightly slower down than Solana, and there might be a way to position ourselves this way so that we gain points, because the idea here is that we're going to get points. We start accumulating a little bit. Last week I think we got 1 point something, so not great, but not bad either, and we continue to do that as well here. So the idea here is that we're going to probably long Solana, which is definitely performing much worse than Ethereum right now. I think I'm even going to put the position here for, let me just do that in USD. I think for 7,000 would be fine, notional. And then we're going to put maybe right away with the leverage here for Ethereum. So the idea here is, maybe it's a good thing to put both of them at the same time. The idea here is that basically Ethereum is still holding above $3,000, and I think this is a very psychological barrier. And if it's going to get crossed at some point, probably, and if it gets crossed, then probably Ethereum will go down much lower to the levels of 2,500, 2,400. This is what happened, I think, like a year ago. Before the run up in November, we had those kind of prices in I think August and September of 2024, and I would expect something like that happening. I don't know if you get the April prices of $1,500, $400. That would be amazing for Ethereum for the long run, because this would be a great buy on the spot. But what I'm thinking is in the short term, ETH probably will go below 3,000. Whereas if you look at Solana, then actually it's already went down through its psychological level. I think, at least for me, the psychological level for Solana is 106.60. This is basically the level that I would consider pretty important, and that was lost. And I think if you compare that to the all-time highs, it's basically the same. Percentage-wise, it's pretty much the same. So if you go from 200 to 160, that's around what it is. It's 20%, right? 20%, and then if you go from 4,000 down 20%, then 25% is basically 3,000. So 20% should be something like 3,200, 300. So this is pretty much the same. So 160 to 3,100 is pretty much the same in my head at the levels. And I think Ethereum should go as low as Solana in the end, because those chains are pretty much they got the same popularity. Of course, Solana got hit harder because it was the chain of meme coins this cycle. So it's because meme coins are, of course, pretty much out of fashion right now, or at least nothing really substantial is happening. All those different meme coins are not getting really high up when it comes to the market cap. So there's a reason why Solana is going lower much more than that. So we're going to see what happened. This is the position that I wanted to put on for the upcoming week. We're going to see, and we have to put in some kind of stop losses, I think. So for Solana, I think the stop loss would be something like 130, and with the take profits at 160 definitely. I'm thinking whether we going that high. Maybe we will. Maybe I'm going to get more on my bullish side, even though I'm a little bit bearish. We're going to have a look at some things here. I don't know if we go up to 160 would be nice. On the other hand, if we look at Ethereum, then as I said, take profit would be probably something at 280. Maybe that's a good take profit, and the stop loss would be, let me submit that. I think the stop loss here would be if we start revisiting like 3,300, maybe 3,400. Let's see what those kind of levels give us here. Maybe 3,300 is a good level to stop. This is yep. So this is the trade that I want to put in. Also, probably will either long or short some kind of a pair. So definitely hype is a strong coin usually. So if we're getting any kind of a rebound, I would guess that hype is going to get that. Also, for some reason, Bera, because it's so low already, if we're getting any kind of rebound, Bera is going much higher as well, because I think right now, especially if you look at the total valuation of that, Bera is at the level of like $180 million, right? For L1 chain, that's super, super low. They still have I think market maker, stuff like that. So that's pretty much, is it the lowest of the low? I think it is. So that might be a good thing. They only have 5x leverage. We're trying to be capital efficient here. So let me think about that. Hype is definitely a good bet if we're getting a little bit of the rebound. That's not confirmed definitely, but it might be nice. Let me check. We might do something degenerate, going with that. Yeah, this is pretty, I think this is pretty cool. What I would probably take profit at like 40, 41, 42. I guess 42 for the rebound is cool. I think this is a good spot right now. So this is pretty cool. We're doing pretty much the similar stuff we did with Anna last time. Maybe I also have a look at Anna actually. I mean, it already rebounded a little bit from the lows, but everything is still super, super low, as you can see. Yeah, so what I'm counting this week is we're getting some kind of a rebound, but basically I'm not counting on any kind of a reversal for now. I think the situation is pretty bad, and if you look at the Twitter, it's absolutely abysmal. The levels of people that are trying what they basically looking into bear market, especially if you're looking for some cool content. Look at Taiki. He's really great at becoming the meme himself for the what turning into a bear does to you. And he's back with his short, this time notional for the $1.5 million. You can watch his video also, just looking for Taiki Maeda on YouTube. You're going to find it. I think it's pretty cool for his reasons. I like his content. I think that's coming from he's trying to be analytical when it comes to what he's talking about. Also for other guys who are talking about, let me maybe find them on here. There are a couple of other content that is interesting related to being in a bear market. I don't know whether we are, but I'm probably right now mostly like 60-40, that we're 60% that we're in the bear market, 40 that we're not, and we're going to have some kind of continuation. I'm playing it safe, definitely, so mostly playing around with perps, where maybe that's not that safe, but I don't have really much spot holdings right now. I'm just basically waiting, and I want to deploy capital when something interesting comes around. But ideal scenario is that we're going to have some kind of discount prices, even more, especially if we start looking at what's happening to stocks. If we get, for example, discounts on stocks, and especially on those Magnificent Seven, Google, Amazon, Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, and so on, then crypto is going even lower. Right, even right now. So what changed since last week, especially if you look at Bitcoin, this is well visible on CoinGecko. If you look at the 7 days, last week when I was recording that, we were at over $100,000 level, right? 105. So that was looking pretty good for Bitcoin still. People were joking like, where's the bear market? Bitcoin is still $100,000. It's not so happy right now, not really so exciting when you look at Bitcoin, and it's constantly down 10% since last 7 days, $95,000, and it doesn't look like it's going to be to rebound. You have to think in probabilities. I'm thinking in probabilities here, and the probability of Bitcoin going back to the levels of like $120,000, right, like from a month ago, is much lower right now, because if you look at the past year, so especially, you had this December price action up to $105,000, and then since January it was basically downward all the time until we got this $79,000 price, and then it started rebounding. As for the entire crypto, this is the drama with the tariffs. But then it started going up to August, then a little bit down, then again, top was around October 7th, and then everything crashed with October 10th, and then we had the continuation pretty much of that price action. So you could argue that probabilistically, maybe October 10th actually broke something. We're still seeing that. If you remember Luna in 2022, Luna happened, and then we were seeing other funds like Free Arrow Capital and then FTX only blowing up half a year later, because I think Luna happened in May, and FTX happened in November. So that's proper half a year after that. Free AC was, of course, between that. So I think that was like June, July, maybe after, month two. So we're going to still see some action. And yeah, we're going to see whether we're going to revisit April prices. For Bitcoin, that's possible, I think. But it's also possible to go much lower than that. We're going to see. I'm, open. You can always buy higher. I don't really, I'm not scared of being sidelined. One of the, I think, most stupid things you can see on the timeline is that max pain is up, which means that so many people are bearish, so that we must go up. Of course, this is like this kind of forced contra argumentation that if so many people are one way, then it must be the other, which of course doesn't work like that in real life. You have many things that are consensus and are happening, and I think sometimes you can just feel that something is changing, and this is probably the reason here, because also one of the arguments that's why it's the end of the cycle is that 4-year cycle basically ended. We got another 4th year from 2021 to 2025, so people are taking profits based on that, and then we're also going through institutional adoption. So all the positive news already happened that you would expect to happen, which means that there's nothing really to look forward to. You don't have really like what you literally, the president of the United States has its own coins, NFTs, financial project. You have all the big banks in the world accumulating crypto, and thinking about some kind of blockchain rails. So what really are you expecting to happen and to really change that? So Mercury is one of the people that have great content when it has to charts, at least sometimes. Yeah, this is basically what we're betting here, right? So I'm betting on the fact that we're going to have a reversal here. And we're going to have a reversal, which means that basically Solana should go much higher up than ETH, and also hype long directional bet, we're going to see it much higher as well. For now, it's not happening. It seems like, pretty heavy price action. There's definitely something happening. If you have this kind of volatility, then something is happening, and some kind of whales are being chased. Maybe, something is happening on one of the exchanges, because this kind of, especially on all of the assets, price action, when you have those spikes down and up, means that you're getting really, really interesting stuff here. So yeah, this is what I'm betting as well here. So I don't really see the really big news happening that would make things look more bullish in the short term, because you could argue that all of those things happened already and there's nothing to look forward to. So especially if you compare that, this is also the narrative that you can see on crypto Twitter, that everything that we've waited for already happened. Institutions came, retail came, well, in the previous cycle as well. You are basically retail right now, you and me, to some extent, and there's nothing to look forward to. So basically, you have to wait for the conditions to get much worse before they can get much better, because if you can't have much more positive news that will drive the price action up, then probably it's a time to test the price going down. And this is what would happen. So I don't know what what will happen price wise in the next in the next couple of days. It can be super volatile. I'm betting on the up because of the rebound, but to be honest, if I were to bet, for example, on March or April 2026, so what we're going to see in a couple of months, I'm betting that we're going lower, and I'm betting, standard prices, probably we're going to see what were the highs in 2022. So if you look at max price, I would probably bet something like, maybe we're going to see those prices like $50,000 for Bitcoin. That would not be unthinkable. The unthinkable would be really going to like $20,000 Bitcoin. That would be really massive. I wouldn't expect that. I'm going to basically start buying much higher than that. I think 60, 50 is a good spot. Just to spot at least, because of course I'm going to be trading that on perps. Other than that, Zcash is of course a monster here and doing extremely well. Other than that, Ethereum, I think it's going back to $1,500 or something like that, because if you look at this crazy price action, I don't see why it won't repeat itself. So I don't see why we won't be able to go back to this price action, especially that you had perfect opportunity right now to sell Ethereum, especially if you're long-term holder. if you're not selling right now, or actually just a little bit before, when all those different dots, all those different companies, for example, the one, of course, the well-known run by Tom Lee, started appearing and they started accumulating Ethereum, this was the perfect moment to start selling. And I think this already happened to some extent. We had like OG whales selling Ethereum. They also, the OG whales for Bitcoin started selling Bitcoin. And there's a lot of selling pressure coming along the way. Of course, you may argue that if we go below $3,000, this is another psychological barrier and people stop selling to some extent, just like they should stop selling, I think, Bitcoin below like $80,000. But who knows? We're going to see. Because if you are a whale and you already started selling, that you might as well sell everything and just, check out, peace out, and be happy with your gains if you were holding for the past couple of years, for example. Because still, like, what's really a difference between $3,000 and $5,000 to some extent? If you were holding ETH from like $100 or like even below that, then it doesn't really matter that much, and you don't want to go much lower than that. So you're happy to take the gains and leave. And also, this price action was really interesting because we went from $4,000 to $1,000, $300, $400, and I don't see the reason why we won't repeat that within the next couple of months. So that's why I'm very cautious when it comes to holding. But of course, for accumulation, there are a couple of great coins that I want to accumulate on the downside. Once, of course, we see even more blood on the street, I guess, because unless you see so many people talking actually about the rebound, I think we're still in a kind of a transitionary period, because I think right now there are already bears, for example, like Taiki shorting Ethereum and stuff and other stuff, but you also have like super bulls talking about like how we're going to get another leg of a bull season, maybe going to have some kind of alt season as well. But to be honest, like unless we have those bulls out, there won't be a proper bear market. We need to have a proper doom and gloom to have a proper reset, like the fact like what happened basically in April, to really have and start everything. Because if you compare the current cycle to the previous one, again we can do the comparison on Ethereum. I think it's pretty visible what happened. So in 2021, you had this moment in May when everything went parabolic for Ethereum, especially, May 11, I think that was pretty much the top. Ethereum hit $4,000. And then just right after it, there was this super crash to lower it basically below $2,000. So you had that within a month. Basically, and that went, and this run basically went since the like September, maybe October, let's even count November, from November 2020 to May, right? This was the first run, and then we had this dip. In our case, we had this kind of run also since like November 2024 last year to now to December, and then we had this kind of dump here. If you really want to count the proper run also, then actually we had that a little bit before, because we had a proper run from the end of 2023, from like October, November 2023 to again April, and then it dumped a little bit, and especially during the summer. Then we rebounded, and then so maybe this is similar to that, and then finally we had this section here. I think this going up from April to like September, October. This is very comparable to what happened here with this kind of a top in November, December 2021. And for me, this is the like very direct comparison, and that's why I would expect something like that. And maybe we are around here. We are around like January, February 2024 or coming into that. So we're going to get some kind of a rebound, but then it should be down only. Maybe not. I mean, crypto, who knows? Crypto markets changed because of the institutional adoption. So really a lot of things has happened. You have like pretty different market, but still crazy price action, as you can see, especially here. Who would expect this kind of candles on a daily? So we're going to see what happened. I think, we're going to see what will happen in the end. Really hard to trade. So if you're trading, of course, do your research before jumping in. Crypto is super risky. You can lose all your capital. If you haven't lost already on 10th of this year, there were crazy times. Let me just got stopped on ENA. I wanted to know, so if win, we got now again sol if long plus directional high long. So just wanted to note that. Okay. Having said all that, let's check out a couple of other things. Of course, if you're farming airdrops, check out cryptoexchange.sh. You can go to points calculator and you will have all the points calculators for different exchanges. You can compare what kind of, if, for example, Lighter launches at like, say, $3 billion valuation and you have 10 points and they're going to airdrop 25%, then you can see how much of the estimated value you're going to have based on those 10 points. Same for other exchanges. Variational is coming soon, so I wanted to give a heads up to them because I was talking with the team. They're going to have points program, maybe also retroactively. So they don't already have different tiers for how much volume you bring to the platform. They also are zero fee platform, just like Lighter, so they don't have any kind of fees. And also the cool mechanism is that they have loss refund, so you have some kind of a percentage for your loss to be entirely refunded, which is pretty crazy. And apart from that, a couple of other exchanges that I'm farming: Extended, Bullpen, Pacifica, Ajax, Vest, Ostium, Paradex. All of them are cool and are having some kind of a points program that you can participate in and get points. Of course, the easiest way to farm them is basically doing funding rate arbitrage. This is the thing that you're trying to have the same asset, short on one exchange, long on the other, and there's going to be a funding spread between the two. So for example, for Resolve here, if we were, or maybe let's find something on Lighter, for example, Eden. Here we have 82% yearly if you long on Lighter and short on Extended because of the differences. So if we look for Eden here, you can see that here the funding is 0.012%, and on Extended, it's a little bit higher than that. So shorting means it makes you capital. If you long on one, short on the other, then it's pretty delta neutral. So it doesn't matter what happens to the market. You should be fine. Of course, make sure that you won't get liquidated on one exchange. So for example, if the price is going down and you're longing, then you might get liquidated on that leg. So you have to be careful. And also, but if you make it really right, then you can make money just by holding the positions from the funding rates, because you make money on the difference. So I think this is pretty cool. You have all the options here for Hyperliquid, Pacifica, Extended, Lighter. More exchanges are coming, so I think it's going to be pretty cool. Okay, so having said that, let's have a look what other people are doing on the market, especially if you look at money printers. So people with over $1 million of P&L, all of them are bearish. This is what happened in the past weeks as well. So I think this is generally what people are expecting right now. And some coins people are more bearish than the others. So for example, they are only slightly bearish on Ethereum, Solana, Zcash, but more bearish on like Bitcoin, Hype, Pump, Aster. We can have a look at some of the people here to check what they're doing. This is one of the, I'm not sure whether it's a fund or some kind of a bot, but we were looking at that previously. This guy is very bullish, even though he's pretty negative on the P&L. I mean, he got $20 million drawdown, but he's still up quite a lot. $44 million in profit. So he's holding different longs, one short. He's basically longing ETH since $3,200. Betting on the rebound as well. Let's have a look at some other guys as well here. This one has a pretty cool P&L curve because you want to have steady, pretty much steady up. If you look at the higher lows basically. So this is pretty cool. Oh, but maybe he was just adding more capital because P&L curve is pretty stable here. But then again, he did over $100 million in P&L. Oh, he's oh, that's is that the actually hyperliquid vault for liquidation? Might be. That might be that. Based on the positions. Oh, there's someone, I think, shorting or longing INA. No, this is another, the same thing. This is pretty, yeah, I think I'm clicking the pretty much the very similar vaults because of those. If you have so many assets, I don't expect that to be human because you can't really manage those kind of large positions manually, unless, of course, you have some kind of a system. And I'm basically looking at, yeah, this is like very simple. Someone just is longing right now to 500 Bitcoin, 10,000 Ethereum, and that's, well, his P&L is right now it's negative, but overall it's pretty positive. So I think that's really cool. I like simplicity, so I really like, for example, whales who are only doing like Bitcoin and Ethereum long short, or even just Bitcoin, or even just Ethereum. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is another more complicated position. I wanted to see other stuff as well. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So this is basically holding shorts for a really long time. He managed to basically short almost the tops here with substantial amount of capital. So he started shorting Bitcoin, Ethereum, Hype, Sol, and those, if you look at the prices, then, well, Bitcoin was not close to the top 116, but Ethereum for 4,400, Hype 54, that's very close to the top. Solana for 200, that was very close to the top as well. If you look at PNL, yeah, this is pretty nice. And also the cool stuff is he's getting a lot of money just from holding because of the funding, especially that. Well, I think the last week was different because the funding went negative multiple times, but usually the funding stays positive, and especially in a bull market, you have super positive funding rates, which means that you can make money just from holding shorts. And this is what happened here. So I really like this kind of positioning. Of course, it's a little bit too risky right now to hold those kind of, if you didn't start like higher up, because it's very easy to get liquidated if you start, for example, with 20x leverage right now, unless of course you have much higher margin. I think so actually he has almost no leverage if you look at it, because he has $34 million in perpetuity and his positions are for 37. So he's just using leverage to, be more capital efficient, but it doesn't matter really that much, especially that he's playing on cross. So it doesn't matter really. So his true leverage is basically 1.1, which is, well, he still will, well, probably not liquidated, but if something like 10th of October happens again, that would be risky. So yeah, let me check positions. Yeah, really interesting stuff happening in the market if you have this kind of ZIPSO, CISO, or whatever. I wonder what's happening. I guess like if you look at what's happening with liquidations right now, then you're going to see a lot of liquidations going both ways. So usually, for example, you have, if Bitcoin is red here, Ethereum is red as well, because that means that there are the same amount of shorts and the same amount of longs liquidated. But here, for some reason, you have more longs, more shorts liquidated, and on ETH you still have more longs liquidated, which means that there was some kind of a rebound on BTC, but not enough rebound on Ethereum. But still, it's because of this kind of candles that people are getting liquidated right now. If you're using 50x leverage, for example, then you're getting liquidated no matter whether you're long or short. At least on isolated position, isolated margin, because on cross you can do anything if you put enough collateral there. Yeah, that super cool. Let's see what happens here. Pretty might be pretty interesting. I'm also going to go even at a little bit here. This will be the same. Yeah, so we $3,000 long hype. This is the same position. This is basically the same amount for the position as we had for Ethena last week. Also notional was $3,000. So we're going to see what will happen. Hype is much stronger coin, but of course there are pretty bearish scenario for November. I think by the end of November there should be different unlocks, I guess. Of course, team might not be selling and so on, but it might be enough to drive the price down as well. So we're going to see that. In the meantime, I think if even that were to happen, in the meantime, we can see some action going up, because people might be interested to, push the price up in order to sell and then exit the market. We're going to see. Pretty interesting stuff. I think definitely what's happening right now in crypto is very interesting. But of course, if we get more on the macro side with equities going down, then that might be a further action down. So I would be very scared of holding, large spot positions, even unless you are a super believer and you don't care about the price action for the next year. Then probably might be a good point to at least buy something. But still, I would expect a lot of those prices to go lower, especially on the altcoins. Maybe not hype, maybe not ETH, maybe not Solana, but if you have smaller altcoins, they all are going 90% down. This is just the rule of the altcoins, that you have those coins are basically performing worse and worse. So we're going to see. I would expect a lot of them to be even alive in the next couple of years, especially there are so many new projects coming along to the market. And what's new and shiny, people are usually trying to choose that over what's already tried and tested, maybe except for Zcash. But then Zcash has really crazy price action, right? There was like nothing was happening for years. I think the last all-time high, this high was around January 2018, and then nothing. Even in 2021 bull market, you had like $200, right? And only right now you get something like $600, $700 at the top. So we're going to see whether anything substantial happened here, and we revisit the tops from 2016. So, but yeah, we'll see. I'd love to buy some Zcash. I like the philosophy behind it, but if we get the proper bear market, we might get lower prices as well. On the other hand, you might argue that, this is Bitcoin 2.0 and we're going so much higher, and it doesn't really matter whether you're buying for 200, 600, 700, it's still going to like $10,000 per coin, which is fair. I mean, I think it can go to $10,000. That would be the price. This would be the valuation of, I think, Solana. If Zcash go to right, it would have to, for $10,000, it would have to be at like quick math would be what, $150 billion roughly, right? So $150 billion is around XRP maybe even. So yeah, so a little bit higher than Solana. With Solana market cap, this would be basically like 7x from here, which is like $4,000. Roughly $4,000, $5,000 for if it were to catch up with Solana, which is also great. But again, depends on like your holding time, but it might be wise to just buy and forget if you want. Anyway, nothing curious financial advice. Crypto is risky. You can lose all your capital, especially in the volatile times like that. So be careful out there. Check out cryptoexchange.sh for funding rate arbitrage and different points calculator. For everything else, follow me on Twitter, YouTube, or other places. And we're going to see what will happen next week with our position. We have this position. We have this. Delta neutral position on Sol Ethereum, notional for $7,000 for each of them, and then we have hype for $3,000 directionally long, counting on the rebound, and we're going to see what will happen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel.